Good morning. Today is Wednesday, December 17, and this is Devotions from St. Paul Evangelical Lutheran Church in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. I'm going to take a passage today from the Old Testament book of Zechariah. And this is a passage where Zechariah is part of a group that is reestablishing Jerusalem after they are returned from Babylon and their captivity. And I want you to listen to the positive notes of this, because that's what I think has meaning for us today. So this is from the 8th chapter of Zechariah. For thus says the Lord of hosts, just as I purposed to bring disaster upon you when your ancestors provoked me to wrath, and I did not relent, says the Lord of hosts, so again I have now purposed in these days to do good to Jerusalem and to the house of Judah. Do not be afraid. These are the things that you shall do. Speak the truth to one another. Render in your gates judgments that are true, and make for peace. Do not devise evil in your hearts against one another, and love no false oaths. For these are the things that I hate, says the Lord. Set the historical setting first. Judah was the southern kingdom after the division after Solomon's rule. And it was the second of the two to go into captivity. They were captured by the Babylonians. And the elite of Jerusalem and Judah were deported. And for about 70 years they were in exile. And then the Persians defeated the Babylonians and allowed them to return. And this is several years after that return, and they have been rebuilding the temple and reestablishing the rule of the old law from the Torah, from the Hebrews, from the law of Moses. And things were reasonably good. And they were almost safe in the world. Now, they were a very small nation, and they were at the mercy of the Persians, who were the main force in that time. But they were rebuilding the temple. And this is a proclamation, an oracle, if you will, from Zechariah to tell them things were good now if they would act right. So they're reestablishing the worship in the temple. And Zechariah tells them that the Lord is wisdom, and they will be okay if they will just follow his law. So what is his law? Well, he tells them a lot of things. He tells them good judgments. Good judgments. Now, what are good judgments? Good judgments are those that are honest and that are good for people and are not selfish and greedy. And he tells them, love one another. Now, love one another is what Jesus told the disciples at the end of his time. They will know you are my disciples if you love one another. But here Zechariah is going to specifics. Do not make oaths that are false. Do not bear wrong judgments. Do not tell lies. Tell each other the truth. This was a short period for those Israelites that were back in Jerusalem. They lived in a very difficult neighborhood. They were on all the travel routes between the main points of power, between the north, where Assyria first, and then Babylon, and now Persia, and very soon will be Greece and Rome come. And the south, where Egypt was a perennial power. But at this point, life was good. And it was good because God had given them the ability to reestablish. So what's going on today? Well, we live in the United States. We're the strongest nation in the world. And so the issues that we see are different from what the Israelites see. But there are still issues that would cause us to do things contrary to God's law. And if we listen to what Zechariah is telling the people, those are things that we should follow right now. Tell each other the truth. Make sound judgments. Good for people. Not be greedy. Not be jealous. Not make false oaths. Say things that we cannot back up. This is an individual issue now because we don't see governments that follow God. Not the way that the Judean government claimed to follow God, and of course didn't follow very well, which caused many of their problems. So you and I as individuals have to take on this burden, tell the truth to each other, make right judgments for each other, and with each other's best interest in mind. Love one another, in Jesus' words. This was a good time for Judah because God had promised that he would be with them. That promise is still valid today, and we can take heart from that promise. And it seems to me that we should read books in the Old Testament like Zechariah that most of us don't read very often, and take heart from it, and listen to it, and follow the words, because they are the words that God spoke through the prophet Zechariah. I hope you get a chance to read the 8th chapter of Zechariah. It is worth our time. Thank you.